Hi, I'm Joseph Franklyn McElroy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Galileo Tech Media, which I started in 2014, about 6 months after the death of my partner and wife at the time. Uh, Having been through that kind of sudden loss, I was not interested in working in an office anymore. So me and along with a woman named Nikki Johnson, that had been undergoing her own transformations at the time, created the Galileo the idea of just freedom. We weren't going to work for a living. We were going to have freedom. Now, no offices, no employees. We both had extensive backgrounds in inbound marketing, search engine optimization, content. So that's what we just started doing. We started telling that to people. And I guess people were intrigued by the concept as business started coming our way. We started getting a lot of content to write and inbound marketing campaigns to execute. But I guess because of the concept of freedom, it became, and also somewhat due to Nikki's background, we became very involved in travel. And my background fairly, frankly, too, because I grew up in a roadside motel down in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, called the Meadowlark Motel. So we started doing a lot of travel work. We ended up getting Marriott and became one of the largest service providers to Marriott. Of course, COVID put an end to that. And then for a couple of years, we were trying to reinvent what we'd had, essentially just recreate it. But none of the COVID had really put a damper on companies' abilities to actually hire groups to do anything external. We had to rebuild their own internal infrastructure, so we weren't able to do that. So I turned to Nikki had moved on to other things. She's now pursuing a PhD, and I kept the few clients we had. We had a big real estate client, we had a big construction client, which we still have. But I also turned to local travel because during that period where we were doing so well with Marriott and Wyndham and Hilton and others, I'd bought my little roadside motel from my parents who had hung on until their 80s trying to run it. And so I got started. I got actually neck deep into running and understanding how to run a lodging facility. I ended up building a little restaurant and a speakeasy as well. What I got into was essentially being a one-man operation with, I mean, in terms of the management, into AI quite a bit to help me out. I got AI into actually creating a fusion of cuisines because there's not really a lot of great chefs in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, but there's good cooks. There's really great cooks. So created a fusion of cuisines. And from my background in the Smoky Mountains growing up there, my wife's background from Trinidad, and we created a little restaurant. And then lo and behold, we got a critically acclaimed restaurant. 2,500 people showed up in the first 2 months in rural North Carolina to go to this place. So, and then we created a bar that became the go-to place for a lot of roots and Americana and bluegrass artists to come and play at, because we did sort of a combination of New York sophistication with down-home sort of feel, and then we actually ended up getting Grammy Award winners like Jim Lauderdale, who wrote a lot of the #1 hits for George Strait, coming in there performing. Um, so it was a ride, and then I become really familiar with the concept right at the end of working with Marriott called memorable tourism experiences, which is studies done in academia about what makes tourism experiences more memorable. Um, and there's these emotional categories, and there's different definitions of it. I picked one to work with that had 7 different categories of emotional experiences, range from hedonism to knowledge to refreshment and things like that. And really focusing not only on the marketing of experiences, because we found if we use those kind of emotionally resonant words and trying to trigger 2 or 3 emotions in the same headline, we would get huge bounce in engagement rates, like 20% increase in click-throughs, things like that. So I started using that, of course, in the marketing side of things, but I started using that in designing the things that would be happening at the hotel. At first, I did a lot of it, by research with search engines and keywords and trends and things like that. But then I got into AI, and bringing that in to actually both modify content and to help create concrete plans about how to do events that would trigger those emotions. And again, it was just tremendous. We reduced our OTAs down from about 85% to less than 50% of our revenue, and it's still going down. And we increased the average daily rate by something like 200 something percent. And we went from being a very average little motel. The average in the United States is about 94,000 a year for a 20-room hotel. Now we were about twice that size, so we were making $200,000. So we were an average motel. We went from being an average motel to 4 times the size of an average motel, over $800,000 in revenue from this memorable tourism experiences. And then I discovered the elements of well-being, which helped create a really tight tribe around the motel and around the things that we were doing. People would come 4, 5, 6 times a year to the place. And then I got involved with some a friend of mine's corporate psychology practice and the things he was doing, and I started working with things called the obstacles to decision making. How to take it? We would take AI and craft that into, I call it fusion crafting, because we're fusing multiple concepts together on a scale that you can't do individually. But we would fusion craft this kind of concept into content to see if we can get higher conversion rates, and we did find that would happen. And so I'm now packaging all that up. I'm not meant to be a small motel owner running a small motel. I'm not an operations guy, so I'm ready to bring all that I've learned though back to the market. Galileo Tech Media. So go through a lot of the writings I've done on the site. I've launched some podcasts that'll be coming out. And also developing an experiential marketing practice for building off-season business for motels that trigger emotions and feelings of well-being. And that's called the Odyssey of Renewal. So watch out for that brand coming out in the very near future. Thank you for listening, and hopefully we can do some business for you. We're focused on 3 things. I like having fast-growing small businesses in my clientele because they're fun. So we have some subscriptions for small businesses, and then we have for the travel brands, the medium-sized to large brands. We have luxury focus that are just focused on SEO. We have a local luxury SEO travel luxury travel SEO services that are pretty extensive, and then we have a whole brand awareness kit of services to really get a big brand presence online. I did that a lot with just a small motel. I got nationwide coverage on a couple of different things that happened, and sort of ubiquitous awareness. Like I said, I got thousands of people to come to us. So I'm pretty confident that we know what to do in terms of helping you build your brand awareness. Been doing it for a long time. So thank you for listening to me, and peruse the rest of the site. And if you want to, book a meeting with me. There's plenty of places on this site where it says book a meeting or talk to a Zoom expert. Let's talk. I can probably help you just in the meeting. Maybe stimulate some ideas, maybe bring some insights into you that would be worthwhile just having a conversation. So thank you very much.